You're not imagining it. That strange gut feeling you get around certain people, that quiet discomfort that tightens your chest or makes you second-guess yourself. It's not just in your head. Carl Jung had a name for that experience, and he believed it was a warning sign worth listening to. You're not being dramatic when someone's words sound sweet, but their presence feels cold. When they smile, just a second too long. When their compliments feel rehearsed. That's not kindness. That's a mask. And Jung knew that behind the mask, something far more dangerous might be hiding. Because according to Jung, the most dangerous sign in a person isn't obvious. It's not rage. It's not violence. It's subtle. It looks calm, composed, even charismatic. But it conceals manipulation, control, and a fractured inner world that can quietly chip away at your identity. If you don't know how to spot it, you might spend years doubting yourself without realizing someone else's hidden darkness has been shaping your reality all along. Stay alert. Jung's insights might just save you from it. Carl Jung believed the human psyche isn't flat. It's layered, like a vast internal landscape. At the surface is the conscious self, the part we show to others, the version we polish and perform. But beneath that is the unconscious mind, where we store everything we avoid, deny, or suppress. And deeper still lies the shadow, the raw, unfiltered part of us we often refuse to acknowledge. And here's where it gets dangerous. Jung warned that the most threatening kind of person isn't the one who admits they're flawed, it's the one who truly believes they're not, the one who insists they are only good, only kind, only righteous. They've cut themselves off from their own shadow. Why does that matter? Because when someone can't face their own darkness, they don't get rid of it. They push it out. And guess who catches it? You do. Their anger becomes your fault. Their manipulation becomes your paranoia. Their insecurities twist into criticism aimed at you. Without realizing it, you become the canvas for everything they refuse to confront in themselves. It's quiet, it's subtle, but it's deeply damaging. This is why Jung's insights still matter today. Understanding the shadow isn't just about psychology, it's about survival. It's how you protect your peace, your sense of self, and your sanity from those who've lost touch with their own. Because the scariest thing isn't a person who knows they're broken, it's someone convinced they're perfect. They think they've done the work, that they've healed. They speak in spiritual buzzwords, quote self-help books, and smile through every conversation as if nothing ever bothers them. They claim to have outgrown anger, jealousy, insecurity. To them, flaws are for people who haven't evolved yet. But Carl Jung had a warning for that kind of brightness. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow. See, when someone insists they're always the victim, always the hero, always the most evolved person in the room, be cautious. Because they're not just unaware of their shadow, they're in complete denial of it. And here's the truth. Denial doesn't make darkness disappear. It just hides it behind a nicer mask. And what's hidden can become far more dangerous. These are the people who gaslight you, but believe they're just enforcing healthy boundaries. They say things that cut you deeply, but call it truth-telling or just being honest. They betray your trust, but tell others you were the toxic one. They don't yell, they don't explode, but they leave a trail of confusion, pain, and self-doubt behind them, while still believing they're the ones who were hurt. This is what happens when someone thinks they have no shadow. They don't confront their darkness, they project it. And if you're not aware of this dynamic, you'll carry pain that was never yours to begin with. Stay mindful. Jung's wisdom isn't just theory, it's protection. When someone hasn't done the work to face their own inner wounds, when they avoid confronting the parts of themselves they'd rather not see, they don't reflect, they project. And that projection doesn't come with warning signs or flashing lights. It feels real, it feels personal, but it isn't. Instead of asking, "Why does this bother me so much?" they assume the problem lies with you. Your confidence makes them uncomfortable, so they call it arrogance. Your independence makes them feel abandoned, so they accuse you of being selfish. Your sadness unsettles them, so they label it manipulation. Carl Jung called this projection, an unconscious defense mechanism where someone casts the disowned parts of themselves onto others. And the danger is, they don't know they're doing it. They're not lying. They're blind. And that blindness can be far more damaging than deceit. Because if you're not careful, you start shrinking. You begin apologizing for things you didn't do. You question your reactions, your motives, even your own sanity, just to keep the peace or to fit into the story they've created about you. And that's the trap. Their unresolved pain gets handed to you. Their discomfort becomes your responsibility. Their unhealed past starts shaping your present. Jung's insight wasn't just a psychological theory, it was a warning. If someone refuses to reflect, if they choose projection over self-awareness, their story about you will always be louder than your truth. But when you recognize it for what it is, you reclaim your power, and the story becomes yours again. They don't yell, they don't slam doors, they don't throw insults across the room. On the surface, they seem calm, measured, even emotionally safe. But something shifts when they're around. The energy changes. The room feels colder, heavier. You can't quite explain it, but your body notices before your mind does. They smile when others are hurting, not in comfort, but in subtle satisfaction. They withhold affection exactly when you need it most, then act surprised when you feel distant. They use silence like a weapon, logic like a sword, and phrases like, "I'm just being honest," to justify every emotional cut they make. They won't leave a bruise on your skin, but they'll leave bruises on your spirit. This is passive spiritual aggression, the kind that doesn't scream but still wounds. It's harder to name, harder to prove, and therefore much harder to escape. And Carl Jung saw it clearly. He taught that when people repress their shadow, when they refuse to confront the darker, more difficult aspects of themselves, what emerges is not purity, but distortion. The person who appears composed might actually be tightly wound with control. The one who seems emotionally detached might be using peace as a disguise for power. They claim to be unbothered, but it's not peace they're practicing, it's punishment. Their calm is a mask. Their restraint is a strategy. And if you're close to them, you'll feel it not in your mind, but in your soul, where their unspoken rage slowly drains your spirit, one silent moment at a time. They walk into a room and immediately draw attention. Their presence is magnetic, their words smooth, their timing perfect. They say all the right things, speak of healing, mindfulness, alignment. They might quote Jung, talk about meditation, preach self-love and spiritual growth. On the surface, they appear enlightened. But look a little deeper, and you'll see something's missing. There's no humility, no raw honesty, no true vulnerability. What you're witnessing isn't awareness, it's performance. Carl Jung warned us of this exact illusion. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. These people aren't awake, they're acting. They've crafted an identity that looks conscious, but it's built on denial, not integration. They avoid the shadow but speak fluently about the light. They dress their ego in spiritual language, using it as a tool to impress, persuade, even control. They talk about love, but only love that never confronts. They honor truth, but only when it flatters them. The moment you challenge them, the mask slips, the warmth vanishes. And what's left is cold self-protection dressed up as boundaries. This isn't true consciousness. It's costume, carefully curated and strategically worn. And the danger is, it's convincing. You might find yourself drawn in, admiring them, even wanting to be like them. But if you stay too long, you'll feel the hollowness underneath. You'll sense the performance. And if you're not grounded, you might start performing too, mistaking charm for depth and charisma for truth. They say all the right words. I take responsibility. I hear you. I'm working on myself. But something feels off. Their tone doesn't match the statement. Their eyes avoid yours. Their energy doesn't carry the weight of true accountability. That's because their apologies come with strings attached. They say they're sorry, but there's always a but. I'm sorry you felt that way. I'm sorry, but you triggered me. They present themselves as growing, evolving, but only in ways that protect their image. Carl Jung taught that real maturity begins the moment we're willing to face the uncomfortable truths about ourselves. But for someone trapped in ego or buried in spiritual bypassing, that level of honesty is impossible. Admitting failure would mean admitting they're not as enlightened, not as superior, not as invincible as they've led others to believe. So when you gently hold up a mirror, when you name what you see, they won't reflect. They'll react. They'll cut you off, ghost you, or label you the toxic one. Because the real threat isn't you. It's what you represent, a challenge to their carefully curated self. They don't fear being wrong because of guilt. They fear it because it makes them feel ordinary. And in their world, being ordinary means being unworthy. But there's no real growth in that, no breakthrough, no transformation. Because evolution doesn't happen when we cling to perfection. It happens when we admit we're still learning, still flawed, and still becoming. So what is the most dangerous sign in a person? It's not their anger. Anger, when acknowledged, can lead to healing. It's not their trauma. Many people carry pain and still choose growth. And it's not being lost. Being lost means there's still a longing to find the way. The real danger is in the refusal to look within. When someone rejects the very idea that they could have a shadow, when they believe they've transcended it, outgrown it, or never had it in the first place, that's when harm begins. Because that kind of denial doesn't make the darkness go away. It just forces it underground, where it festers. And eventually, it leaks out, in small, cutting comments, in manipulative silences, in the way they drain your energy while still looking composed. Their unresolved pain becomes poison. Their denial turns into quiet destruction. Their presence feels like a calm storm, invisible, but deeply unsettling. But here's the part you need to hold on to. If you see it, you're awake. If something in you recognizes the discomfort, if your body tenses, if your instincts whisper that something's off, you're not overreacting, you're perceiving. And when you're awake, you don't have to stay entangled in their storm. You can choose differently. You can protect your peace. You can stop explaining yourself and start trusting what you feel. Stay grounded in your truth. Stay rooted in your body. And never apologize for noticing what others would rather pretend isn't there. Your awareness is your freedom. Let it lead you. If something in these words stirred you, if you felt seen, validated, or finally able to name what's been silently weighing on you, then don't walk away from that clarity. Subscribe to the Jungian depth. This isn't just a channel. It's a space for awakening, a space to reflect, to feel, and to reconnect with the parts of yourself you've had to hide or silence. Here, we don't run from the shadow, we learn from it. We don't shame the darkness. We explore it with courage. Because healing doesn't happen through perfection, it happens through integration.